Hello, hello. Happy election day. I'm a little early, but my name is Katrina Vasallo. I can hear my coworkers laughing out there. Let's wonder if it's them. But today I will be going live with Laura Marano. I'm very, very excited to be here with all of you on election day. It's really massive. And I know midterms can be confusing to some people, but they're just as big, if anything, more important. I've sent out the invite to Laura. So excited to be here with all of y'all, talking about voting, talking about, who knows, you voted. Hell yeah, that's very exciting to hear. I voted early. If I did not mention earlier, my name is Katrina. I work for HeadCount in the field department, and I'm very excited to be here with all of you on election day. Midterms. Gotta get out there, gotta vote. Yeah, absolutely exercise your right to vote. Polls are still open, obviously. The sun is still out, even though clocks did just do a little zhuzh. Excited to be here with y'all. Answer any questions on voting, on IDs, on what are we voting on, or really, whatever comes our way. I have had a good day so far. I had a good breakfast. One of the things I find very, very important. I'm in the office with my amazing coworkers who are a lot of fun. My dog is here. Yeah, early voting. Mile-long line. Crazy, but really great that people are getting out there and doing what they can. Happy Election Day! Happy Election Day! Has everyone in here already voted? I assume if you follow HeadCount, right? You know what's up. If you haven't voted, what's stopping you? There could be lots of different barriers, but I'd love to make sure that I can help folks get out there, or at least maybe remind them, if you haven't been reminded enough already. Voted by mail. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Getting out there early, doing your thing. All right, let's see. I think I saw Laura joined in there. All right. Welcome anyone who is just joining. I'm gonna invite you again, Laura. Sorry if that didn't work the first time. Laura!
Hi everybody.
Yeah.
Hey.
How are you doing?
I am so good. I have my voting sticker ready to go.
Yes.
So excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you for being here with us. Seriously, Election Day is like kind of our Super Bowl and Christmas and New Year all put together. So like it feels like we're kind of, celebrating together. I'm really excited.
I am very, very excited to be here. I actually vote by mail or vote by polling. So I voted technically over the weekend, but I saved my sticker for today. But I almost feel like I'm lying. I'm like, I didn't vote today exactly, but I voted by today. So
yeah, I did the same thing. I was like, oh, I'm going to vote on Sunday so that I know that I have a good, clear day. And I was like, but New York, we have our I voted early stickers. So they're like,
see, California doesn't have that.
Oh, I'll tell you, I used to vote in the suburbs, and you get no stickers out in the suburbs of New York. So at least you get stickers out there in Cali.
Wow, that's something I did not know. It's funny. It's like, obviously when it comes to like different, rules about voting, every state is different. And it's interesting to know that even every state is different about how they do their stickers.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Like when I learned, because there are so many different things that people ask us around elections. And when it comes to voting, the differences within what you can bring in terms of ID to voting is so different. Every state, what requires ID, what states don't. And so like HeadCount has a full breakdown on that online, because like I can't even remember all of it. I'm like, okay, so this state, you don't even need it. This one, you need it the first time, but you don't need it the second time. Where this one, like it can only be this type of ID. And so it's just so important that like like you said, every single state is so different, and it goes down to the stickers, down to how you even show up and what you need to bring. Yeah, but I love to hear that you've already voted. That's really excited. And really exciting that like you I love when I hear that people care about this type of stuff, because I'm like, oh man, not only are they a fantastic performer, like you're an amazing singer, you're an amazing actress, and then also like you give a poop, and and you're out there doing the activism, and like it's just really important. I really appreciate it. But I wanted to ask you a question about who kind of got you into democracy and voting, and kind of like, is that something in your family that's really big, or was it you? Kind of what's your journey there?
That is a great, great question, because yes, very much came from my family. My family on my mom's side, so my grandparents were very, very, very vocal about voting, very vocal about their beliefs. So I really grew up not only just in a household, but in, because they lived in 10 minutes, 5 minutes away from my parents' house where I grew up. So I really grew up in an atmosphere that was all about voting and making your voice heard. And I think also understanding the responsibility of it, meaning like, you need to do your freaking research and know what you're voting on, right? Like, I even this weekend when I was voting, I mean, it took me, I'm not exaggerating, of hours of like really doing the work of being like, okay, what is this candidate saying? What is this policy in California, right? It's so intense and it's so much work, but it's so important. So I very much am such a proponent of voting and having the most educated vote you can have, but I really did come from my family. I grew up with that mentality.
Yeah, that's amazing, and congrats on that, because like having those types of people in your life that can support you and are like, yeah, this really matters, but also you need to do the homework, I think is a really huge thing that can seem really daunting, right? Like you said, it took hours, and it really can. And I think some states help more with educating on what's on your ballot. I went through headcount.org to find what's on my ballot, and there was still stuff that wasn't even, I was like, oh, I'm voting on judges too, right? So like
judges are one of the hardest ones, because also you can't really find, to be honest, I think it's been easier than ever to vote on judges with the information that you have at hand, but it still is challenging, understandably so, right? I think a lot of people who are judges don't put their political affiliation, which I think is a good thing. But at the same time, you're still like, well, I want to know what they've, ruled in different cases, and I want to know this different information. So, you can't necessarily totally find out that information, but you can find out their background and, what makes them qualified and things like that. But yeah, judges are so hard.
Yeah, right. Like in New York State, there's a proposition, and then in New York City, there's three other propositions that are just for the city. And finding kind of like how people felt each way felt easier than finding how the judges like were one way or the other. So I definitely feel you on that. And I think people forget that midterms are so important, because it feels like, oh, it's not the president, right? But it's like, but these are the ones that, right? Like the governor, these are your representatives, the folks who like these are the ones that you can meet. And that's like the thing that I like make fun of myself for being quoted on, is like, you will meet your local people before you'll meet the president. So like if you feel like one way or the other about how your vote is counted or whatnot, it's like, in my opinion, those local elections, those will be the ones that really affect, that you'll see the like, oh, immediate change.
Well, for sure. And I think it's so funny because I've gotten a few questions, not even just from fans, but even I know I've talked to different people in my personal life, not as much recently, but even like a few years ago, with midterm elections, like everyone always is kind of like, it's not the president election, not the presidential election, so why are we even doing it? And I'm like, no, it is now. It's so important, not only because obviously yes, there's things to vote on a federal level of like representation in your state, but on a state level, exactly, like there's so many things that are important to vote on if you're candidate, like, and also not only local officials, but like propositions and measures. I'm always like, those are so important. I actually will get irritated with friends of mine. Again, I think more than ever, people are going out to vote. No, no matter where they're from or where they live currently, because I say that a lot of friends I have in California are constantly like, well, California, is blue anyway, so it doesn't even really matter. And I'm like, that is literally not true. There are so many measures and propositions and stuff that is specific to California that you need to vote on and like be aware of. And so I do think this almost like myth of the only thing that we vote on is the president, and it really, a lot of states, it doesn't matter, is just so not true at all, and something that I'm very, very passionate about telling people in my personal life and in any part of my life. There's so many other aspects that you're voting on besides just that, and that's why it's important to vote in every election, not just the presidential one.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice to hear that like it's kind of everywhere, but it also means that we have to do double the work to make sure that we're like educating people more and more. It's like, yes, but there's more, right? And you did talk about questions that people ask you, and you got some questions through some folks on Instagram, and I wanted to go over some of them because these are really important questions. And so one of the things, and it was very nice and it was very simple, but like, where do we vote, right? And I think that's such a question. If you don't know, it feels so big and so hard, right? And if you didn't come from a family who was really big on democracy and voting, that it's like, who do I ask? Where do I go to ask this? And so each state is different, obviously. Every county is different, but typically there's a polling place right near where you live. And you can look that up through headcount.org, or you can go straight to your state website and be like, where's my polling place, right? Because at this point, it's today. If you haven't voted already, you have to vote at your polling place.
Yes.
But you can also vote by mail. And so I think it's really awesome that people are asking you those questions, because it's like, they really want to know, and you seem like an approachable person who like, wait, I can help them with this. How easy is that?
Well, I think, and I very much freaking love HeadCount, and I love you guys for a variety of reasons, but one of the reasons is because I think there's a lot of information, especially even with some of the questions that I got, that honestly people can go to headcount.org and get a lot of this information, like where you can vote. You can literally put your address in one of the like headcount.org like ballot finder or poll finder,
Yeah.
and find exactly like a polling place by you, drop off places if you're voting by mail. Obviously, again, yes, today is the day. If you haven't voted by mail, woohoo. So you can go exactly to headcount.org and find a polling place near you.
Yeah. Well, we only have a couple of minutes left, so I want to, is there anything that you want to talk about that we haven't gone over already, or anything that like you think that your fans would want to know? Because these people are here to see you, obviously. I am just their head count shepherd, really, but I'd love to hear
No,
anything.
that's people want to see you too. You take that freaking back. First of all, I'm obsessed with your hair. I just want to take a second because I feel like we have not talked about it, and it's amazing. Yeah, listen, at the end of the day, I also got a couple of questions that were just like, how do you know if you're in between two candidates or two things, like how do you vote for the right one? I think questions that I think are very valid and important. And I will just say I am such a proponent of doing the research and really putting the time in. I think at the end of the day, what is important when we're talking about voting and any kind of voting conversation is really acknowledging the time that gets put into it, which I will say for everybody, like that's a part of it that I don't think we should shy away from talking about, because it is tough. It's tough and challenging. Like, we all, I think, are busy with our lives, personally and professionally. And I do want to say I commend everyone for voting and putting the time into it, because I do think it's our responsibility. But I also want to acknowledge that there's challenges that come with it, and especially if people are working 2-3 jobs and have not necessarily the resources that they know of being able to know the policies and measures and the candidates that are on the ballot. But it's really, really important, and putting the time into it is really, really important. So I feel like really understanding, if you're going to vote, like allocating the appropriate time of what it's going to take is very high on that priority list of when you are voting. Again, when I voted this weekend, it literally took me, I'm like I think it literally took me like 2.5 hours to like properly go through everything. One can make the argument, because I was the last from my family to vote. My parents have voted, like weeks ago. My sister and her boyfriend voted weeks ago. So I've been hearing conversations of what they voted on, and some things that I disagreed with and some things that I agreed with. But at the end of the day, I wanted to kind of put the research in and look it up. And so it takes time, but it's important. And I really hope everyone here, if you have not voted yet, vote today, put the time in. I wish it was a freaking national holiday for us. I'm very much a proponent for that. But either way, I really think it's important, and I'm very grateful that I was able to kind of have that time and be able to do it. I think we all should make that time. It's super, super, super important.
Yeah, I appreciate you speaking up on one of the harder things of where, like, people, it's not as easy as we all want it to just be for some folks. And I think that's really valid to like talk about that and put that out there, that it should be a federal holiday. You should be able to actually get off. And right, if you work at a restaurant or you work at all these different jobs that aren't just going to let you go and vote just because it's your right, it's your duty. And so I think that's really important, and appreciate you bringing that up. Well, we're about to be at our time, but I wanted to, congrats on your new song, because I freaking love it. It's awesome. I love the artwork.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time I introduce someone, I'm like, I need to do a little research. I was like, oh, this is new. This just came out. So really excited to see that. Is there more coming?
Yes, so much more coming, which I'm very, very excited about. I just love using it as a pun, because I feel like I've used it now over and over again, and will continue to use it. And so like this time last year, I was not on election day and hadn't voted yet.
Yeah,
so I very much just love using it as a pun. But thank you so much. I'm really grateful that you just said that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like looking at all of your captions. I was like, oh, this is funny. I was like, I like this, because you did slip it in everywhere a little bit.
Oh yeah,
well,
I'm a huge pun user. Huge.
Love it. Puns are the best. Well, thank you so much for your time today on Election Day, the soon-to-be future federal holiday, if we had it our way.
Yes, seriously.
But I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Bye, everybody. Go vote if you can.
Woo!
Okay, love you all. Love.
Bye. Thank you.